Yep. Let's see. Fontaine Tour Group. Okay, let's see.
Well, allow me to give you the grand tour. Oh, I bet I'll get a lead on a new story by the time we're done, too. The news seems to follow you around wherever you go.
Okay.
They say Fontaine stands above all waters. That's why the water level here is higher than anywhere else around. And if you're wondering whether that makes these waters lakes or seas, you're not alone. It's actually a hotly debated question. If you enjoy expansive scenic views, I highly recommend taking a trip on the Aqua Bus. You can just sit back and enjoy the sights while your Melazine tour guide tells you all about Fontanian culture and
Yeah.
customs. Definitely the most relaxing way to travel. The best place to start your sightseeing trip is the Court of Fontaine. It's the most important city in the nation, at the center of all of Fontaine's affairs.
Yeah, we
The
can
city
agree.
is arranged in concentric circles around the waterway hub, which sits right in the middle.
Okay.
Of course, the most important building in the Court of
Ah,
Fontaine
Steamboat.
is the Office of the Steambird. Just kidding. It's actually the Palais Mermonia, the
Oh.
highest authority in Fontaine and the highest point in the city. All
Yeah.
the important government bodies have their headquarters there, from the Office of Judex Nervalet to the Maison Gestion, the Maison Gardiennage,
Okay.
and the Marechaussee Phantom. It's a
Ah,
busy
that-
place, but it runs like clockwork.
Definitely.
Down on the streets below is where the city really comes to life. The Court of Fontaine is renowned for its journalism, art, fashion, and fine dining. So
Still,
it's
we don't have
extremely
cinema.
popular with the tourists.
Ooh.
Below street level, down in the sewers, you'll find the city's administrative gray area, known as the Fleuve Cendre. Every light casts a shadow, and every city has its underbelly. If you're ever investigating a crime, 9 times out of 10, you'll find a lead here. So any investigative journalist worth their salt makes sure to have a few contacts in the Fleuve Cendre. Who are
Yeah.
my contacts? Huh, that's top secret, I'm afraid. Luckily, though, I'm on good terms with Navia, so I have an easier time here than some people. It pays to be friends with the Spina di Rosula. As you'd expect in the nation of Hydro, there's a whole world of wonder under the water. Oh, it's so beautiful.
Yeah, it
and
was
always
beautiful.
reminds me how lucky I am to have a vision. The only way to go diving without one is to wear one of those big, clunky dive suits. Oh, unless you're you, of course. But you're the exception that proves the rule. The Diluvian period buried a lot of our ancient history and architecture beneath the waves. So there's a lot of public interest in deep sea exploration. A lot of journalists take advantage of that, but so do a lot of scam artists. I don't know what it is about this place. Every time I come down here, it always evokes a strange sense of bittersweet wonder and hope. Welcome to the Elton Trench, graveyard of ships. People always say it's haunted because of all the boats that have sunk here in the past. A few hundred years ago, this is where the White Armada of Fontaine's navy fought a very costly battle with the giant beast Alinas. But they prevailed, and finally the beast that had caused so much disaster in Fontaine was slain. Its head is right here, and its body became the Alinas Mountains. Wait, what? A ghost ship? Here? Oh, wow. What did it look like? You gotta tell me everything, okay? Uh-oh. Looks like we've drifted into Liffey region. Oh, careful. Don't get caught in the searchlights. Oh, too late. Sorry. Hello there, false alarm. We're not criminals serving time here. Just ended up here by mistake. This is my press card from the Steambird. Oh, what a bummer. Come on, let's take a look around while she's verifying our identities. Bit of a gloomy atmosphere, huh? Is it because we're so far underwater? Well, while I'm here, I may as well see what I can dig up on the Duke who runs this place. Any idea who I should talk to in the Fortress of Meripede? Phew, we made it ashore. Am I glad to be back on dry land. I never want to be mistaken for a fugitive again. To the northeast of the Court of Fontaine, at the north edge of Araneus Forest, is the famous Fontaine Research Institute. Well, what's left of it at least.
Yeah.
The decision to build it here was made by the founder, Alain Guillotin. He built a park next to it in memory of his sister, Marianne, but not much left of that now either. That explosion I mentioned, It was the result of an Archeum experiment gone wrong.
Very
run by
wrong.
former senior technician Edwin Eastinghouse. It devastated the area, but it created some pretty mind-boggling sights here, too. Oh, it has to be seen to be believed, so it's still worth a trip. Just, don't get too close, okay? The last thing we want is any more accidents. The Fontaine Research Institute is responsible for many inventions that have dramatically changed our lives, such as
Yeah.
Clockwork Mecha and Fanta.
Yeah,
So our
Fanta.
readers are always keen to keep up on the latest developments.
About
Ever
Fanta.
since the explosion, the Steambird has been sending crews here to try to get to the bottom of what happened. But the researchers, they seem pretty wary of us journalists. So, if you ever find anything out, make sure I'm the first to know. To the south of the Institute lies Araneus Island, a sacred place in Fontaine.
Hmm?
Legend has it that all water veins converge
Oh.
there. The most famous attraction on the island is the Opera Epiclese,
Of
where
course.
criminal trials are held. We as a nation are strong believers in justice, and we sure do love our trials. No trip to Fontaine is complete until you've seen a trial at the Opera Epiclese. That big fountain in front of the Opera House is the Fountain of Lucine. We have a local custom where we throw Mora into the fountain and make a wish. And a lot of the time, it actually works.
Oh.
In fact, there's a legend about it. Huh? Navia? Clorand? What are you two doing here?
Oh.
Oh, Charlotte! So this is where you disappeared to. We ran into you. We just saw Ufrazi in the city. She says she's been looking everywhere for you.
The editor-in-chief's looking for me? Whoops! Well, I'd better run. So sorry, we'll continue the tour next time, promise.
Tour? Ah, you're giving the traveler a VIP tour of Fontaine. Well, how about I take it from here? Save you the trouble?
I can come along too. I'm off the clock right now.
Oh.
Really? You do that for me? Oh, thanks a million, you guys. Well, see you around.
Charlotte's always so full of energy. I don't know what Ufrazi needed her for, but let's hope it's good news. Anyway, did you guys come down here from the north? In that case, let's head over to Araneus Forest next. There's something almost dreamlike about this place. Everything about it, from the plants to the scenery, is so different from anywhere else. Like the giant
Yeah.
orb of water spouting up from the center of this lake, with gale-force winds that push you away from it. Or this lake, with a legendary weeping willow that's the color of fresh water.
Yeah.
Although, it's looking a bit wilted right now.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah. And there are lots of musical mechanisms in this forest, too.
Yeah.
So much fun to play around with.
I don't know. It's
Wonder who
say
made them?
Well, given that they're musical, the first thing that springs to mind is obviously the ancient kingdom of Remuria.
Obviously. Maybe for you, Clorand. You clearly know your history. The place I know best in Araneus Forest has got to be the Rusty Rudder. This is Pito's territory, and just like the Fleur of Sandra, it's a hot spot for intel. Of course, to the unwitting bar patron,
Oh.
it's just an ordinary tavern. Oh, and there's a lot of history in this old shipwreck. They say it was one of the White Armada's armored battleships. I don't know much about Morte region, except that there's not a lot of people here. That ominous tower in the fog certainly doesn't look very inviting. Oh, there's an introduction here. It's called the Tower of Ipsissimus,
Oh.
and it was built by an organization called the Narcissan
Oh, yeah.
Yikes. I'm completely out of my depth here.
The Narzisenkreuz Ordo was an extremist group,
Oh, of course.
declared a criminal organization by the courts of justice. The tower has been sealed off for centuries, so it's quite normal that you haven't heard of them before.
Well, sounds like the less I know, the better. Oh, there's another huge area of ruins down here. But my history's a bit rusty, so, I got nothing. Sorry.
Probably another relic of the Narzisenkreuz Ordo.
Let's head over to Bello region, my home turf. We have a mountain called Mont Autumnki, and to its west is the village of Poisson, where the Spina di Rosula started. It might look like a makeshift underground settlement now, but long ago, before the water level rose, it used to be a bustling harbor. By the way, you know Poisson seafood soup? It's really popular all over Fontaine, and it was created right here by the local fisher folk. It's a simple recipe, but oh boy, it's delicious.
Sounds like your history isn't so rusty after all.
Only if it's about Poisson.
Nothing wrong with that. Knowing your own history is a great starting point.
Well said. Oh, I just thought of something else worth mentioning. The Siege of Poisson, a major moment in our history from several hundred years ago.
Yes.
Back then, the court of Fontaine was carrying out a purge of the Fleuve Cendre, and a man named Eduardo Baker bravely organized a resistance group. They ended up fleeing to Poisson and fought a final battle here. Eventually, the authorities broke through their defenses and arrested him. But even though it didn't end well, the people of Poisson will never forget his deeds. To the west of Bello region is Beryl region, a large mountainous area.
Yeah.
It's said
I
that the
remember.
entire Alinas mountain range is actually the remains of the giant beast, Alinas, from centuries ago.
I can
This
see.
is the home of all Melazines.
Yeah.
They were born inside Alinas's body. I forget exactly how that worked.
Better
It was
than.
400 or so years ago. The Narzissen Kreuz Ordo and the Marechaussee Phantom fought a great battle within the body of Alinas, and there was an enormous explosion.
What is it with Fontaine and enormous explosions?
Yeah.
The Marechaussee Phantom brought many machines to the battle, and the explosion sent mechanical parts flying into Alinas's flesh. It was from that collision that the Melusines were born. So at first, a lot of people saw them as unnatural abominations. Luckily, the Eudex overrode the people's objections and accepted them into Fontaine society. I shudder to think what would have happened to them otherwise.
Yeah,
Most
nothing good.
Melazines live in Maracy village, which is deep underwater beneath the Beryl Mountains. This would be a difficult dive without a vision, huh? It's very warm down here, and the colors are something else. Once you're inside, it really does feel like you're in the body of a legendary beast. It's so surreal. I remember the Steambird published a list of 100 heroic challenges to try this year, and one of them was trying Maracy village cuisine. Let's just say that Melazines have slightly different sensibilities from us humans.
Understatement of the century. Oh, they have a conch harp here.
Yeah.
wrong?
It's nothing. Probably dates back to the days of Remuria, that's all.
Hey, didn't the Marechaussee hunters first appear after the fall of what was it again?
Remuria.
Right, Remuria. They hunted down monsters or something?
Correct. Thousands of years ago, after Remuria was finally destroyed and sank into the ocean depths, their golems remained in the human world and continued to wreak havoc. The Marechaussee hunters were founded for the sole purpose of fighting
Oh,
those
Celestia, I
golems.
see you.
Today, the kingdom of Remuria lies in ruins beneath the remote village of Petrichor, outside of Fontaine's waters.
Ah, this explains why you don't
Maybe
see.
you'll have the chance to explore it one day and get a glimpse into the history of an ancient dynasty. I'm sure you'd be amazed by its beauty and splendor. The music of Remuria once echoed throughout the high seas. Then again, it's also possible that there's nothing left down there at all. Petrichor is a peaceful and idyllic place these days. The tumultuous waves of the past have long subsided.
Yeah, a heck of a lot has changed over the millennia.
You're starting to look a little tired, traveler.
Oh,
You must be exhausted after visiting so many places. Let's get back to Poisson. I'm ready for a big meal and a good long rest. So, what do you think, traveler? Fontaine's a pretty fascinating place, isn't it? And there's so much more to explore. We've shown you around the places that we know, but that's just scratching the surface. Guess you'll just have to discover the rest by yourself.
okay,
On
okay.
that note, you'd better get some rest so you can keep exploring tomorrow.
Something else to say? Okay, beautiful view.